Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
At the cafe, we see a renewal of Lulu and Nathan leaning in for a kiss. Lulu gasps and pulls down, but they snappily renew kissing. Still, she pushes him down again, saying they can't do this. Lulu passes to condemn the kiss on the storm, the booze, and them not allowing easily, but Nathan has wanted to kiss her for a long time. Lulu admits she has passions for him, too, and Maxie would kill her for that. Will they or won't they? Nathan says they can't ignore their passions, but Lulu says they can't ignore Maxie. Nathan points out that Maxie moved on, and maybe he should too. Still, Lulu feels it would crush Maxie if she set out about them. Lulu says this would hurt Dante, as well as hers and Maxie's kitties. She admits she enjoyed the kiss, and he did too. Still, he says she's right, and they should let this go. Nathan is at least glad they know how they feel, indeed if no bone differently can. An unasked guest. At Carly's, both she and Valentine admit they've seen each other in a new light, and they aren't who the other study they were. She offers him the guest room tonight, as nothing is going to show up, and it's only the two of them. Unfortunately, that's when Jack shows up, ringing Carly's doorbell. Seriously? Jack of all people is the only bone who manages to make it through the storm nearly. Valentine heads upstairs, and Carly invites Jack in. Jack wanted to make sure she and Donna were okay. She explains that Donna is at Sunny's and it's just her. That's when he spots two spectacles of booze on the table. She covers, saying it was meant for Jason, but she told him not to risk the roads to get them. Jack is glad they've the place to themselves, and he kisses her. Jack has to excuse himself when he gets a work call. Carly looks at herself in the glass and says she can do this. Jack returns, and she pulls him into a kiss. Nearly caught kissing. At the gatehouse, Charlotte and Danny's kiss is intruded when Rocco turns up. Rocco wonders why they're then, and soon learns that Danny also knows Valentine is at Carly's, and they were trying to get to him. Rocco is hurt that they kept this from him. Charlotte explains she didn't want him to have to keep presently secrets from their mama, but Rocco says the three of them will figure this out, and no further secrets. The kiddies also get back to making s'mores, the stupid hunky stable boy. In the forces, Molly catches Cody reading her handwriting, and he's easily miffed. He reads the description of the main character, easily grounded on him, which is a stupid hunk of a stable boy. Cody says he thinks the world of her, that she's amazing, which isn't how she sees him. Molly explains Casey is a fictional character, and while approximately grounded on him, she began the book when they weren't on great terms. Still, she points out that Casey grows in the book, falls in love with Maddie, and comes to see how awful he is. She says people and their opinions change over time, that's how life works. Molly is shocked he's taking this so hard. He explains these traits are the worst effects he thinks about himself, and she put them out there for other people to read, and that hurts. She says that writing the novel was a way for her to heal after what happened with TJ, Christina, and the baby. Now, she's only going to suppose about how this novel hurt him, and that hurts her. Cody still can't let it go and tells her to take the bed, as he'll sleep with the horses. Can Trina forgive her mama? At Trina's place, Portia screams in the dark, having snubbed her toe, and Trina comes out running to check on her. For a moment, the pressure between them eases, and Portia begs her son to speak to her. Trina tells her mama that she doesn't know if she can ever forgive her for what she's done to her and their family. Trina hates that this baby is coming into the world as she did, girdled by falsehoods. Trina rushed to forgive her mama the first time, but she's still in pain from being prevaricated to for her entire life. She loves her mama but doesn't understand the choices her mama has made. She says the trust is gone, but Portia believes they can rebuild it. Portia knows her son won't let her wrathfulness towards her be taken out on or affect how she feels about her new family or sister. Britt tumbles her secrets. At the harbor master's cabin, Britt informs Jason she's working for Sidwell and Cullum, and that Cullum is the WSB, which is how Sidwell stays ahead of the feds. Britt also tells him Cullum has made veiled pitfalls against Rocco and ordered her to push Jason down, or else Jason asks her to start from the morning. Britt says she really fought Heather and allowed She was done for, but Cullum and Sidwell faked her death and gave her drug to put her Huntingtons into absolution in exchange for completing her father's design on cold emulsion. Jason reminds her he offered to recreate the formula, but she says it's too parlous. She says Sidwell boggled Dalton in front of her. Jason still believes rear-engineering the meds is their stylish shot at getting her out from under their thumbs. She says that will take time. He promises to get her out of this, and he needs to know they're in this together. Joss finds a clue. At Windmere, Joss and Cullum are playing a game of chess, and when he beats her, he notes she's not your average council sprat. Joss explains that her pater tutored her to play. Cullum says she's an intriguing girl, and he wonders what other secrets she's keeping. Cullum ultimately goes to check on the rest of the house for storm damage. Joss begins poking and finds a drum of cigars and a dupe of Faison's book in Cullum's jacket. Unfortunately, Cullum returns and catches her with the book in hand. Joss says she seized his jacket as she got cold again, and these fell out. Joss asks about the book and says the woman on the cover looks just like their old manager, Anna Devane. Cullum claims he's no way heard of her. Joss settles in to read the book, and Cullum seems suspicious to in the show's final moments. Britt agrees she's all in on Jason's plan. Still, they must continue the act that they are in together, as Cullum will suppose doubly about killing him. Jason suggests they make tonight count, and they head back to bed. Carly and Jack make love on the settee by the fire, while a sad and frustrated-looking Valentine huffs and puffs in the garret. Rocco repasts his S'more as Charlotte and Danny exchange smiles at one another. Nathan and Lulu open the door to the cafe and look out into the storm. Cody sleeps, or tries to, with the nags, as Molly sits on the stairs pouting. Portia heads to bed, and Trina's left wing in gashes. Cullum watches as Joss reads the book. On the coming General Hospital, Willow turns to someone for help, and Sonny needs Rick's legal services again. General Hospital recap for Friday, January 30th. Reveals that Britt Westbourne verified Henry Hank Dalton's killer to Jason Morgan while Jack Brennan intruded Carly Spencer and Valentine Cassadine. At Carly's house, she suggested Valentine could stay in the guest room for the night since the roads were closed and no bone would be visiting. Suddenly, Brennan arrived at the door, so Carly was snappily proven wrong. Valentine ran up to the garret while Carly saluted Brennan, who noticed the redundant booze glass on the table. Carly claimed she poured it for Jason before telling him not to come due to the snow, so Brennan sounded to buy that explanation. While Carly and Brennan got passionate, Lulu Spencer and Nathan West pulled back from their kiss only to dive in for another bone. Still, Lulu ultimately came up for air and claimed they couldn't do this. Nathan and Lulu conceded their passions for each other, but Maxie claimed this couldn't be because of Maxie Jones and indeed Dante Falconeri. While Nathan reluctantly accepted that, Jocelyn Jacks beat Matthew aka director Ross Cullum at chess and left him feeling like she was further than just a featherbrained council pupil. Cullum left the room, which led to Jocelyn looking through his fleece and chancing a pack of cigarillos along with P.K. Sinclair aka Caesar Faison's book. Jocelyn murmured Anna Devane's name after seeing the woman on the cover. Cullum popped back over, so Jocelyn covered by acting like she was cold and dropped Matthew's stuff while getting his fleece. Jocelyn mentioned the cover art and the woman's resemblance to Commissioner Devane, but Matthew acted like it was a coexistence. Once Jocelyn settled in a president hard to read the book, Cullum glared at her from across the room. At the harbor master's diggings, Britt told Jason about Ross Cullum being Sidwell's mate before explaining his WSB connection. Britt also admitted Cullum hovered Jason and forced her to push him down. Jason heated as Britt explained Cullum's pitfalls against Rocco Falconeri as well. Britt was stuck since she got roped into helping with Faison's final design in exchange for the experimental drug her father had developed. Jason went back to his idea about recreating that drug, but Britt advised him about how murderous these guys were. Britt confessed that Sidwell killed Dalton right in front of her, so Jason was taken suddenly over that news. After Jason got Britt to accept his help and verified that they were in this together, she had one condition. Britt claimed they had to keep their distance from each other, so Jason agreed before they made the utmost of tonight be sizzling in bed. At Trina Robinson's apartment, she abominated that Portia Robinson's baby was being born into a world of falsehoods. Trina was still carrying a lot of pain since Portia prevaricated to her about her father all her life. Despite Trina's incapability to trust her mama, Portia hoped and knew deep down that Trina wouldn't let it impact her opinion of her little stock. At the Forces on Friday's GH occasion, Molly Lansing Davis came down and set up Cody Bell with her handwriting, so she wasn't happy about the eruption of sequestration. Cody figured Molly was frenetic because he knew her true passions now. Molly's dumb character, Casey, was easily grounded on Cody, so he blustered about her thinking of him as a zany. Molly tried to explain that Casey evolved over the course of the novel, but Cody remained worried and eventually slept with the nags alone. At the Quartermain Gatehouse, Danny Morgan and Charlotte Cassadine pulled piecemeal in a hurry when Rocco showed up, though Rocco didn't have any suggestion anything romantic had happened. Rocco said about that Danny knew about Valentine being at Carly's place since he took Charlotte over there many weeks agone. Although Rocco wasn't pleased over the secretiveness, Charlotte and Danny refocused out that he was a terrible fabricator. Rocco pushed for no further secrets before hotting a marshmallow to make s'mores. Charlotte and Danny chose to keep one further since they obviously didn't tell Rocco about their kiss. General Hospital spoilers say Rocco is bound to get updates on what Danny and Charlotte are hiding sooner or laterally, so stay tuned. Port Charles woke under a blanket of snow and secrets, the kind of morning that feels like a promise and a warning all at once. The streets were hushed, the harbor frozen in stillness, and yet inside the homes, stables, and shadowed quarters of the town's most tangled lives, emotions surged like a storm that refused to be silenced. Friday, January 30th unfolded as a day of quiet confessions, dangerous alliances, and the first steps toward reckonings that would ripple far beyond the falling flakes. At Carly Spencer's house, warmth glowed from the lamps and the crackling fire, but the comfort was deceptive. Valentine Cassadine sat across from Carly, the weight of old loyalties and newer betrayals heavy in the air. With the roads closed and the town cut off by the storm, Carly offered him the guest room, a simple act of kindness that felt like a bridge across a chasm neither of them knew how to close. For a brief moment, the world outside seemed irrelevant, the snow a barrier between them and the chaos waiting to break in. That illusion shattered with a knock at the door. Jack Brennan stood on the porch, his presence as sharp and sudden as a crack of thunder. Carly's eyes widened, and in a flash of instinct, Valentine vanished up the stairs, disappearing into the attic like a ghost retreating into the walls. Carly opened the door with a practiced smile, her pulse racing beneath her calm exterior. Brennan's gaze swept the room, landing on the extra glass on the table, a silent question in his eyes. Carly didn't hesitate. She explained that the drink was meant for Jason, a plan cancelled by the storm. Brennan studied her for a beat that felt like an eternity, then nodded, seemingly satisfied. The tension softened, replaced by a charged intimacy as the two of them drifted closer, the world shrinking to the space between their words and glances. Upstairs, hidden among the shadows, Valentine listened, the sound of laughter and whispered conversation below echoing like a reminder that his safety depended on staying unseen. Across town, another pair wrestled with emotions that refused to be tucked away. Lulu Spencer and Nathan West found themselves caught in a moment that felt both inevitable and impossible. Their first kiss had barely ended before they leaned back in, drawn together by feelings neither of them had planned for. But reality came rushing back, and Lulu pulled away, breathless and conflicted. They spoke the truth out loud, they cared for each other, deeply. Yet the names that followed felt like walls closing in, Maxie Jones, Dante Falconeri. The lives they were already part of, the people who would be hurt if this spark turned into a flame. Nathan, reluctantly, accepted what Lulu already knew. Some connections, no matter how powerful, come with a cost too high to pay. In another corner of Port Charles, a quiet game of chess became a battleground of wits. Jocelyn Jack sat across from a man she knew as Matthew, though she was beginning to suspect there was far more to him than the name suggested. With a final move, she checkmated him, her victory sparking a flicker of surprise and irritation in his eyes. The moment seemed to shift something between them, he no longer saw her as just another carefree college student. When he left the room, Jocelyn's curiosity took over. She rifled through his coat, heart pounding, and uncovered a pack of cigarillos and a book bearing the name P.K. Sinclair, a name that sent a chill down her spine. The cover featured a woman whose face Jocelyn recognized instantly, Anna Devane. The discovery felt like a puzzle piece snapping into place. Cullum returned before she could linger on the find. Jocelyn covered quickly, pretending to be cold, fumbling with his coat and casually mentioning the resemblance on the book's cover. He brushed it off as coincidence, but his eyes followed her closely as she settled into a chair and began to read. The air between them tightened, a silent standoff of suspicion and restraint. At the harbormaster's quarters, the mood was darker, heavier. Britt Westbourne stood before Jason Morgan, her voice steady but her eyes betraying the fear beneath her resolve. She told him the truth she'd been carrying, about Ross Cullum's partnership with Jen Sidwell, about the shadowy ties to the WSB, and about the threats that had forced her to push Jason away. Britt revealed that Cullum hadn't just threatened Jason's life. He'd gone further, using Rocco Falconeri as leverage, a move so cruel it made Jason's jaw tighten with barely contained fury. Britt explained how she'd been trapped into helping with the final project of the notorious Caesar Faison, all in exchange for experimental medication her father had developed. Every step she took felt like a walk through a minefield. Jason offered a plan, a way to recreate the medication and break their hold over her. Britt shook her head, warning him of how lethal these men were, how deeply their reach extended. Then she delivered the truth that stopped him cold. She had seen Sidwell kill Henry Hank Dalton with her own eyes. The memory haunted her, and now it was his burden too. Despite the danger, Jason refused to let her face it alone. He promised they were in this together. Britt agreed, but with one condition: they had to keep their distance. The line was drawn even as the night ended with them clinging to the warmth of the moment, knowing it might be the last time they could afford to be so close. Elsewhere, at Trina Robinson's apartment, the arrival of new life cast a long shadow. Trina struggled with the reality that her mother, Portia Robinson, was bringing a baby into a world already tangled with lies. The hurt from years of deception about her own father still lingered, a wound that hadn't fully healed. Portia, eyes tired but hopeful, believed in her daughter's heart. She trusted that Trina wouldn't let her pain shape the way she saw her new sibling. It was a quiet moment of faith between them, fragile, but sincere, a reminder that even in a town built on secrets, love still had a place to land. At the stables, tension took a different form. Molly Lansing Davis stormed in to find Cody Bell holding her manuscript, the pages of her private thoughts exposed. Her anger flared instantly, fueled by the feeling of being seen in a way she hadn't chosen. Cody, reading between the lines, accused her of turning him into a joke through her character Casey, a figure he believed painted him as a fool. Molly tried to explain, her words tumbling over each other as she insisted the character had grown and changed over the course of the story, just as people do. But Cody's pride was bruised, and the sting of recognition was too fresh. The argument ended with him retreating to the quiet company of the horses, leaving Molly alone with her thoughts and the realization that sometimes the truth on a page can hurt more than the truth spoken aloud. At the Quartermain Gatehouse, youthful energy and unspoken secrets filled the space. Danny Morgan and Charlotte Cassadine had barely pulled apart from a stolen moment when Rocco Falconeri appeared. To him, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but the tension in the air told a different story. Rocco soon learned that Danny knew about Valentine's presence at Carly's house, a secret kept from him for weeks. He wasn't thrilled about being left in the dark, even as Charlotte and Danny teased him for being an awful liar. The trio decided on a truce, agreeing to no more secrets, a promise made over the simple joy of toasting marshmallows for s'mores. Yet one secret remained, tucked safely between Danny and Charlotte, the kiss they hadn't confessed. It lingered like a spark waiting for the right moment to catch. As the day wore on, Port Charles felt like a town standing at the edge of something new. Every character seemed to be undergoing a kind of baptism, not in water, but in truth, courage, and the hard choices that come with both. Encouraging words were offered in quiet moments, a mother's faith in her daughter, a friend's promise to stand by another through danger, a lover's restraint in the face of temptation. But alongside those gentle assurances came angry threats and unspoken warnings. Cullum's glare across the room at Jocelyn hinted at battles yet to come. Sidwell's violent reach cast a shadow over Britt and Jason's fragile alliance. The unspoken tension between Carly, Brennan, and the hidden Valentine promised that the storm outside was nothing compared to the one brewing within. The snow continued to fall, blanketing the town in a deceptive calm. Beneath it, alliances shifted, loyalties were tested, and secrets pressed against the surface, ready to break through. In Port Charles, every ending is just the beginning of another chapter, one written in equal parts hope and heartbreak. As night settled in, the characters carried their burdens forward. Carly closed her door, unaware of how close her world had come to unraveling. Jocelyn clutched the book that might hold the key to a larger mystery. Britt lay awake, haunted by what she'd seen and what she still had to face. Trina stared into the future, uncertain but determined not to let the past define it. Molly questioned the power of her own words, and Danny and Charlotte held on to a secret that felt both thrilling and dangerous. The town of Port Charles exhaled, the day's events settling into the spaces between its streets and stories. But peace, as always, was temporary. The baptism of this snowy Friday had washed away illusions, leaving behind raw truths and the promise of confrontations yet to come. Encouragement would be needed. Threats would be made. And through it all, the people of Port Charles would continue to fight for love, loyalty, and the fragile hope that tomorrow might offer a chance to begin again.